quiet seaside town, an evil laid to rest centuries ago, has risen. An abandoned fortress deep in the swamp holds a secret that could save the village or destroy it. Now, a band of adventurers sets out to dig up the wounds of the past and bring the light of day to the roots of ruin. This is Tabletop Gold.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Tabletop Gold. My name is Lars Casteen, and I am the host of this show. I'm the GM for the show, the game master. It's a tabletop RPG podcast. I'm not the general manager of the. It's fine. We're gonna move on. Armat Humphreys is here.
Hello.
Zoe Chernicoff is here.
Hello.
David the Tin Man Chernicoff is here.
Good evening.
And Robin Lange is here as well.
I guess I am. Hi.
I guess you are.
You are. You're
That's
here.
tentative.
Oh, good. I'm here. Oh, this is where I am. Oh, okay. Okay.
Do we need to take a
Hello.
vote? I think Robin's here, personally.
It's like a very Douglas Adams thing. It's like she knew that she was there, and what better place to be than here when here is where you are. Like
Is
that
here
kind of
where I
stuff.
be?
Totally. Yeah.
Here is where I be.
Here is where you be. You know, speaking of the English language, we've got some big news from the crew tonight, and that is that the day before, 2 days before, very shortly before the day that we recorded this podcast, one of us turned in something called a thesis for something called some sort of graduate program. And really, that's all I know about it, which is why I want to have a conversation to figure out what it is that's going on. Which one of us is it who completed this thesis? What even is a thesis? What sort of graduate program is it that this person is in? What did it feel like to turn that thesis in? What does this mean for the future? What does it mean for their sense of self and sort of what it is that they're doing? So let's start with that first question.
So
Which
the guy
one of
who
us
hates compound questions.
So who is it here that just finished their thesis and handed it in and is now whatever it is that gets you?
I believe that would be me.
Yay!
Thanks, guys. Well, it is a huge relief to have done. I turn in for my thesis half of the novel I've been working on.
Oh, my goodness. Half a novel.
5 out of 10 chapters. I would like to have more, but I have a good plan for the second half, which I'm going to complete post haste, of course. But it was really exciting. I'm very happy to be sort of done with the program, and also means I get to have more time to focus on doing fun stuff with this crew, which is going to be the best.
Woo!
Woo!
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it the first 5 chapters, or did you write? I'm asking seriously. Like, did you? I don't know. When I write, I never write chronologically. Like, I end up finding chunks of things.
Totally. That was much my process when I started this, but this is the first 5 chapters, so it can all be read sequentially. And it was really fun actually assembling it, because it sort of has been something I've been working on for a while. And this is definitely the best version of it. There's still plenty of work to be done.
That's what you want, right? If you're like, this is the worst version of it, that's you wouldn't want that. That would be terrible.
That would probably mean that my time in the program had not been worthwhile.
I'm glad to hear that you feel good about your time in the program. That answer is part, I think, 15 of my 300-part question.
Yeah. Interesting. I had it as 6D, but that's the same as 15.
I don't want to make you give any spoilers because we're all obviously going to need to go buy the novel at some point. But who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is probably Hoot, who is, of course, the protagonist.
Yes.
And not to spoil too much
It really came
here,
together in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was
All
about
of
to
a
say.
sudden.
The trick was, once I realized I needed to sacrifice him to the devil, everything flowed from there.
All
Matt, is
came
this
together.
is this some you're like trying to just gently admit that you had an AI write your entire
I don't know what you're talking about, David.
Don't be ridiculous.
I certainly would have fed 7 sentences into Luthera AI and then submitted the resulting 100 pages to my...
right, there's a little slider where you set how much text you want it to return to you, and the settings are like sentence, paragraph, or novel.
First 5 chapters of
Half a
10-chapter novel.
Yeah.
Armat submitted 300 pages of I want to return to the land of the living. It's just 300
say
straight
that?
You
pages.
totally just stole the joke I was about to
Oh
make.
no! We
I
were
was
3 of us were
thinking
going for it.
Yeah, I know. Mind meld.
Let me help the listener out with that. The AI that we're talking about that you heard back in the episode where we talked about Hoot, people on the Discord added more text to it, and many of them ended in that multiple characters telling each other that they want to return to the land of the living over and over and over again in a very eerie
the
and
AI
upsetting
would
way.
generate multiple characters who would get into conversation, and the conversation would just be the characters saying that haunting phrase to each other back and forth ad infinitum.
Pretty sure we accidentally brought the AI to life.
Yeah, no.
We started the what's it called?
Lawnmower
Skynet,
Hoot.
baby.
We're like the all of the
The
AI
singularity.
kind of the singularity. Yes, I'm pretty
singularity.
sure we actually started the singularity.
on
Yep.
our Discord.
On our Discord. Yep.
And the first thing it did was go get a PhD in creative writing.
That's how any good cult leader gets started.
Oh, that's a good look for you, Armat.
Oh.
Don't tempt me, because I think that sounds
Armat would be the
fun.
kindest cult leader ever, though. Like, I would absolutely join that cult. They would take such good care of you. It wouldn't be exploitative at all.
Right. The first trait you think of for a cult leader, it doesn't correspond to Armat's like genuine concern for others at all times.
Armat, I want to return to my list of particular questions about your thesis. So in this kind of a program, and this shows like what kind of a student I was in college. I'm like, how many pages did you have to write to graduate? Like how many pages did you write for?
Let's talk
for
minimum
this thesis that
character
you
count.
submitted? Yeah. What were your margins like?
Let's talk allowable margins.
Font size?
I can actually very directly speak to Aldi's, as I spent much of the weekend dealing with formatting things. So it's 115 pages. The last page is a synopsis of the 5 chapters to conclude. You know, pretty standard margins, which I think is like 1 to 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's respectable margins.
Especially for a novel, I feel like you can go a little bigger because when it's,
Yeah,
in its
totally.
book format, it's gonna,
If you want, I'll give you a quick pitch of the plot.
Yes.
Please, of
Yes.
course.
Absolutely.
And then let's for real enter it into a Luther.ai and see what happens.
Oh my God, actually, that sounds amazing. So basically, this comes out of my long love of like esoteric rituals and Stephen King novels.
Tora Borlium writes.
Exactly, kind of. So the setup of the novel is a young college dropout. His father passes away, and he discovers he's requested a very unusual burial service, a Tibetan sky burial. So not far off from Tora Borlium writes in some.
Whoa.
There are actually a lot of different cultures I learned that practice similar sort of burial ceremonies, but the idea is basically in Tibet they're above the frost line. And so as a final act of compassion, they offer up their bodies to the vultures. And so it nourishes the vultures. And so the Tibetan word is jator or byagator, which I think loosely translates to bird scattered or alms for birds, both of which I think are very beautiful. Obviously, you can't do that in suburban Massachusetts. So the young man has to drive his father's body west to a place in Texas where you can do that. As he does so, he is pursued at night by this sort of kind of a childhood boogeyman figure called the Pale Man, who is like trying to steal his and his father's soul. And so during the day he's driving, and at night he's under like tremendous duress trying to deal with this sort of a horror nightmare.
Is there a chance that like your professor, when you turn this in, is like, I need to know how, like, this is not okay. You need to give me those next 5 chapters.
6 through 10. Yeah, give me 6 through 10.
I would love that, to be honest, because that would light a fire under me to keep moving. So
It's like it's hitting all these tingly points for me because it feels kind of like this love child of Neil Gaiman and Donna Tartt.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
kind of. I've never read Donna Tartt, but I hear wonderful things.
You
like I
gotta
heard
read,
the Goldfinch was dope.
I mean,
and-
Goldfinch is great,
right?
but you would need to
That was her,
read
right?
Secret Histories. This is actually her second novel. Her first one I haven't read, but Secret Histories is one of my favorite novels of all time.
Cool, awesome, sold.
Well, Armet, I just want to say, and I think everybody else, let's give you one more round of applause. Finishing
Woo!
thesis.
Thank you guys. Really, it means a ton.
You're going to give us signed copies, right? We get signed copies.
Oh,
do
of
we?
course.
Do we? Yeah, can we please?
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
By the way, I'm so excited about Vadim having ghoul fever, you guys, because the best part is if I do die and turn into a ghoul, you
Jesus
have to
Christ.
kill another one of my
Oh,
undead
no.
characters.
I'm not excited about this.
I kind of am.
It does kind of feel as though the dice are dragging us towards this story development. Well, I guess we'll see
Dark,
what
dark
happens.
motherfucker.
I think what you mean is that we're going to have to let Augie Gus Gully eat you.
I'm also okay with
Yeah.
that.
You're going to have to be ghoul scattered.
As long as your body is defiled in some way. Be in
That's my
keeping.
main agenda.
That's
yes.
all I'm looking
God,
for.
if
Thank
that's what
you,
happens
David.
to Vadim,
Yeah.
how fucking dark would that be?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We'll
yeah.
see. It could happen.
I
We
mean,
may look back
yeah.
at this moment and be like, we were rather glib about this thing that was
Yeah.
clearly going to happen.
Going to happen.
Boy, that turned dark.
If you're enjoying Tabletop Gold, listener, please rate and review us on your podcast app of choice.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes about 45 minutes to write a really great review. It takes less than that. Just write a review.
Yeah,
and
like 30
leave it on.
minutes max. Oh my gosh, listener, this just came to me. Go to the AI and write a review for us that way.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right? Come on.
You should totally, listener, you should
Actually,
totally
do it.
do that.
Please
Do it.
6b.eleuther, ELEUTHER.ai. Okay, let's get into it. Let's play our game.
Woo.
Vadim is sick. The 4 of you are deep underground in an expansive library filled with ancient tomes and erudite ghouls obsessed with flesh. After a brawl with 4 of these undead creatures, it became clear that Vadim contracted a disease that could eventually kill him and transform him into one of them. And now, Norman has spotted the same eerie blue light that you've seen on all the other floors of this fortress and has been drawn forward by it into a round reading room filled with couches, books, and more ghouls, including one wearing robes who has just suggested that you look particularly delicious.
Mm-mm.
And with that, I would like everybody to please. Yeah. Roll for initiative.
How do we feel about my rolling deception for initiative?
I'm going to say no to you rolling deception for initiative. In my mind, you were drawn forward. The way that we were talking about it last week, it sort of seemed as though you were distracted, compelled, drawn forward by this light.
I've never been before. What would make you say that? That's ridiculous. So just regular perception?
Yeah, I think rolling perception, I think that seems right, which puts the party at a disadvantage.
Boo.
Norman is not going to get surprise attack during this first round. Let's just get straight into it and let's get those initiative rolls. Starting with Armet. What did Vadim roll for initiative?
So Vadim got 21, so he was pretty quick off his toes.
pretty quick. How about Norman? Norman, again, perception. Norman's not going to be sneaking up on anybody.
Not sneaking, not super nimble. 15 for Norman.
And that's pretty slow for Norman. I feel like Norman is often like out in front.
Or way behind. One of the two.
Or way behind. Well, one of those
Nowhere
two.
in the middle.
David, what did you roll for Mag?
Nowhere in the middle is such a good Norman motto. Mag was very watchful as Norman began sort of drifting to the southern part of this chamber. And because she was so keen to make sure Norman was safe, she ended up with a 26 for initiative in this encounter.
I love it. I love it. Because that's totally how it played out. Like, Mag was absolutely head on the swivel about this situation. It makes sense that she would be out first. And how did Trill do?
Trill's paying pretty good attention. Not quite as on it as Mag, but Trill ended up with a 21.
Tied with Vadim. So you'll be able to decide which of the two of you is going to go first.
I think we know. Yeah.
No question.
Decision made.
The buffer shall go first.
Let the gnome go first. Yeah.
Here's the situation. There's this big round room about 20, 25 feet around. The edges of this room, the perimeter of the room, are filled with couches, reading tables. Books are scattered all over the place, and there are bones and dregs of meat strewn around, as it seems like this room is basically like a lounge at a frat house for these ghouls hanging out in this library. It's a mess. There are 3 ghouls in this room. There's the one wearing robes who's on the eastern side, and 2 that look a lot like the ghouls that you fought last time, lounging on these couches towards the southern part of the room. The 5 of you, meaning the 4 of you plus Augriel, are clustered in this entryway leading down into this circular chamber on the northern end of the room, with Norman out front. And it's after the cultist that saw you come into the room says, "Just wait until you taste adventure," that they start chanting and moving their hands around to start casting a spell.
I don't like this.
Is it forbidding ward? Are they helping us?
They reach their hands forward, and a crack fills the room as a line of grim tendrils extends from their fingertips, targeting both Norman and Mag in this diagonal line. I need both Norman and Mag to make fortitude saves to see how much of these 5 points of damage they're going to take.
Ooh, stakes are high. That's a 21 for Norman.
And a 16 for Mag.
That means that Norman passes and is going to take half damage. That's 2 points of damage to Norman. Mag is going to fail. She'll take full damage. That's 5 to Mag. This is negative damage as this plume of dark magic rips through you as you dodge out of the way. Yes.
Can I glimpse that, please?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
You can't complain. He said it out loud himself.
Yeah, he did say it out loud himself.
More like not such grim tendrils. Am I right?
It's only a wee bit of damage. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, I was a little disappointed about that damage.
Also, I'm gonna stupefy that ghoul because of weight of guilt.
This ghoul is struck by this vision from Pharasma. They clutch their head and start screaming and then the scream gets like dumber and dumber as their intelligence gets drained out of their body. I neglected to mention that Mag also is going to start taking persistent bleed damage. She's going to take 1 point of bleed damage as this tendril just gently goes and like kisses the side of her face.
It's like a blackberry bramble.
Yeah.
Just
yes. It's a bramble that you just can't get out. This ghoul is
it's like a zit
disappointing me right now. Yes, a zit pops out on Mag's chin.
Breaking out.
And
Mag, you,
this ghoul that is now slightly less intelligent is going to back away, putting this column of negative energy at the center of this room between itself and the party. And as that ghoul steps behind the pillar of light, it is now Mag's turn.
All right. Well, as the grim tendril apparently
The kiss
gently
of grim
brushes
Tendril.
against Mag, her, I think, natural and expected response is that she first flies into a rage. So
Broken nail.
This 1 point of bleed damage.
I
so
have a
much.
pimple. Yeah. So it's like, that is so annoying. I'm thinking Mag probably did not have a weapon out for this. Like, coming out of this, we just spent an hour healing up, and then Norman begins to drift, but to the south side of the room. But there's no enemies around, so I think she's starting this encounter empty-handed. Mag is going to do a sudden charge around the light at the center of the room, ending up next to this caster that's just cast this grim tendril on her, and ending in an unarmed strike. So she's going to throw a big roundhouse right against this thing. And let's see. I guess I can get back here.
I don't want Mag to get bit.
So there's a little bit of space behind this thing that will enable some flanking if someone gets in front of it. And here is that unarmed strike. And that is a 13 to hit. 4 on the die.
This ghoul sees you charging towards it, weaving around the light, reaching around and clobbering it, and it sees you coming long enough for a long enough time that it's able to position itself so that your momentum carries your fist just out of the way. And as Mag runs headlong into battle, Vadim or Trill sees it as their chance.
Trill, please.
Okay, sorry, 1 second, Robin. At the end of Mag's turn, David, you're going to take that 1 persistent bleed damage, and I need that recovery check from you.
And the recovery check is a 2.
So Mag continues bleeding 1 point of damage per turn. And sorry, Robin, please.
So Trill cringes. She goes, "Oh no, Mag!" And she tries to do everything she can to help everyone, which in that immediate moment is to begin with her lingering composition because, oh my gosh, we're in a battle. And that is, that's just an average one. That's a 22.
So that succeeds, meaning your next composition cantrip will go 3 rounds.
Oh, good. Hey,
All right.
having that boost to having a really good performance skill really helps mediocre rolls. Funny that.
Yeah, I like this one too. I like the way this one goes. I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, God, it's horrible watching it dance.
Thanks, Cassie.
As Augril attempts to dance, throwing viscera all over the place.
Oh, good.
So 3 rounds of Inspire Courage for everyone. So Trill's like, well, okay, I guess I got your back, Mag. Because, that's the thing we say now, right? That's the
I
thing
think
we've
so.
been saying for 41 episodes.
That's what we say.
That's the one thing we've said. That's up for 41 episodes.
That's our
And
big
so Trill's
motto.
going to target the the ghoul that Mag has gone up against and is going to Ray of Frost that mofo. Woo, woo. Fingers crossed. Ray of Frost has not been going well recently, and it doesn't go well again. 16.
And that 16 hits the door behind Mag, sending gentle snowflake patterns all over the door, but doing no damage to the ghoul
Why
that is targeted by
Am I
Trill.
rolling such terrible attack rolls these past few games?
You should have a word with your virtual dice, I think.
I think I need to change the color of them. But
Change
the problem
color.
is
It's the only.
my performance checks are so good.
Only change
Well-
the color of 1.
Yeah, change your melee dice, not your performance.
Change the
dice.
melee dice.
That's Trill's turn.
And as this ray of frost bursts past Mag, Vadim sees that it is time to act.
Come on, Vadim.
Vadim immediately unsheathes Vigilance, and seeing how distracted Trill's ray of frost has gotten the ghoul canker cultist, Vadim charges in. Lars, is this a valid path that I'm showing you right here?
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool, great. So he strides so that he is not flanking, but close to potentially for next turn. And he makes a big slash with vigilance at the cultist. 25 to hit.
Now that's a respectable attack roll.
And that is going to hit as the beautiful Aldori dueling sword slices through the chest of this ghoul cultist.
It's a beautiful
Beautiful
instrument.
weapon.
And that is 12 damage.
And that's a pretty big hit against this robe-wearing ghoul as Vadim notices that he has also stopped right in front of another ghoul.
Hang on, that actually didn't take into effect the Blade Ally disrupting rune, so it actually will be more, it looks like.
Okay.
180 points of damage.
I understood
They're
those.
all dead.
So that would be 15.
Okay. Pharasma's divine energy passes through vigilance into the ghoul, doing a little bit more damage. But Vadim also stopped right in front of another ghoul who sniffs at Vadim for a moment and says, "This one's almost turned."
Oh.
And the robe-wearing ghoul next to Vadim whispers, "Then finish the job." As this ghoul bounds forward, leaping off of this couch in one fluid motion, planting both of its feet on the ground so that Vadim is between this robe-wearing ghoul and it. And as it does so,
Nervous noise.
it reaches out with a quick gnash of the teeth, a quick bite forward at Vadim, chomping the air as it misses with a 15, and then it reaches back its shoulder and swings its hand forward to extend its claw towards Vadim, and this is the one I really want to hit, which I critically miss with a 7 on the die. So this ghoul leaps forward and just flails around, and the robe-wearing ghoul says, "Well, that's not going to do it." And it's at this moment that Augriel starts moving.
Well, what do I do?
Augriel, get in over there on the other side of the ghoul. Flank it with Vadim and eat it.
Oh yeah, okay, good. That's right. That's a good idea.
And it just and Augriel just starts sprinting, like fists pumping as it runs as fast as it can across this reading room, jumping over these little piles of bones and meat as it lands on the far side of this ghoul. And Augriel opens his mouth and chomps at the robe-wearing ghoul with a pretty good roll. A 26, that is going to hit as Augriel does 14 points of damage to the ghoul in the robes.
Thank you, Norman. Thank you, Stephanopoulos Gregory. That was a great idea.
As it is now Norman's turn. Oh, sorry. I need to roll a flat check on Augriel to see if it bit or if the lights were too much. Augriel manages to bite. Okay.
That would have been such a letdown after all that. He had such a tasty morsel in his mouth.
I know. He would have been so pissed.
Norman is transfixed by the light because that's what happens. We called it. He didn't get to roll deception. He's not his best self. So he's like really torn between this battle and the light. So he sort of like walks over to flank the ghoul that tried to bite Vadim. So we're now in like a big diagonal around this room.
I love it.
And I feel like Norman is on this like chaise lounge as he's doing it.
Right. I feel like he's like sort of like almost as if like magnetized, like hopped up there, but his eyes are the whole time on the light. And he's just like, this is too much. I don't care who you all are, but get out of this room. I need to see what's going on with that light. And he does a TKP at the ghoul that's closest to him.
And because you're flanking, you get your sneak attack damage.
Right.
If you hit.
It's a 16, so it seems that I may not hit.
Well, actually, because you're flanking with Vadim, you do hit.
Ooh!
What are you throwing at this ghoul?
I think that books have been working well for Norman. It looks to me like in this room it was a reading room, right? The sign said there's like piles of old reading material, so he flings another book at it.
Pages go flying as this book slams into the ghoul and the binding explodes. And go ahead and roll damage and add your sneak attack.
So that's a total of 11 damage that Norman does to this ghoul.
As the ghoul on the far side of the room, seeing all of this fun happening in this diagonal line across the reading room,
like a Mamba line,
sees Augriel and is disgusted. It says, "You're an abomination." And it just flies into just a frenzy of violence against Augriel, just like blind rage, hatred towards this creature. As it first rolls a 17, which is just barely going to miss with its teeth, and then it swings its claws twice, trying to affect Augriel, and just rolling horribly, a 12 and a 3 with its second 2 attacks. And it's at this moment that we are at the top of round 2. And here's the situation. Pages have been thrown up into the air in this foul-smelling reading room, and there is like a conga line of violence happening as Norman, Ghoul, Vadim, Ghoul, Augriel, just in a diagonal line, everyone distracting everybody else, flanking each other, trying to find the opening as they try to get some sort of advantage on each other. Mag has her back against the door leading off to the south. And this robe-wearing ghoul starts chanting, running its hands in the air, reaching into a materials pouch, throwing stuff, just like invoking the most intense magic it possibly can. And it is going to cast a spell that hits a 30-foot emanation from itself, hitting everything in this room. So that's what that looks like.
Is this one forbidding ward?
The whole room.
I think so.
Don't like that.
It has to be.
This is going to be 9 points of damage to all of the living people in this room.
Oh.
And I need a fortitude save from everybody to see how much of that 9 points of damage comes through. So, what did Mag get?
It's a 23 for Mag.
Norman.
12.
Trill.
Fortitude is Trill's weakest. She got an 11.
And Vadim.
12.
Okay, so we got a 12 and an 11 and a 12 from Norman, Trill, and Vadim. Those are all failures, meaning that you are going to take the full 9 points of damage. Mag is hardier. She'll only take 4 of those points of damage. And here is where you're going to get pissed off at me. That 9 points, that is negative damage and is going to heal all of the ghouls in the room.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is why I want to play a Dampier. They're so cool.
And there's something else I want to tell you, and that is that Trill is wearing a necklace around her neck, which starts glowing, and a shell of protective energy covers her body, reducing the amount of damage that she takes by 5. The channel protection amulet that she is wearing protects against damage from the harm spell, which is what just happened.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got that protection amulet. I forgot about that thing.
And seeing that magic kick in, Vadim is going to glimpse for Norman.
Yeah.
So what that means is that Norman is going to take 5 fewer points of damage. And what happens to this cultist?
Oh, I'm going to use the regular enfeebled on it because it's already stupefied.
So as this wave of negative energy passes through the room, Mag, feeling this sickening blast, sees that it's time to act.
Mag is only more convinced that the most important thing to do is to take out this caster. Mag realizes that the position she took up at the end of her last turn places the caster between her and the source of light in the middle of the room. She remembers from the upper floor that the light, when Norman got close to it, the light appeared to have some sort of effect on Norman when Norman got near it. So she decides to shove the caster into the light in the middle of the room.
Love it.
To see whether on entering the light's field, it does some bodily harm to the caster.
Nice.
So I'm going to give you an athletics check to shove your little toy into the campfire. And that is an 18 to shove.
Okay, 18 to shove, and shove is against Fortitude DC. Their Fortitude is not particularly high, so that is going to pass. So it flies backwards into the light, and it just starts going, yes, yes, yes,
I was
as it
afraid
seems
of
that as it seems as though the light is healing it and making it stronger.
Yeah. Necromantic.
Okay, so how would Mag react to that? She would probably say something like,
She's a deep woman.
I think she's going to try ganging up on one of the foot soldier ghouls, the infantry ghouls that's still out here outside of this beam of light. So she will move and take up a flanking position against the ghoul on the sort of lower eastern portion of this circular room, flanking it with Augriel. And, we don't have a weapon out.
This is not Mag's day.
Nope. And
You
Draw
just gotta
weapon.
hit it. No, hit it. Just hit the
it?
thing. Yeah, just hit
I
it.
should just hit it, just punch it again?
Yeah, take
All right,
your
I'll
weapon out next time. Just fucking punch it.
All right, I'll punch it again. And she will punch the ghoul. It's time for America's favorite game show. Punch that ghoul.
Good show.
the goal. We love
And that's a 28 to hit.
That is a critical punch. Go ahead and roll critical punch damage as Mag's fist slams into its tongue, and just the tongue like wraps around its head, and it starts choking for a moment.
It takes 18 damage from the
And this ghoul is nearly dead from this slobber knocker of a punch that Mag just threw.
Mag is really, she's totally on extremes here. She's doing absolutely nothing or absolutely everything.
So Mag is going to take one more point of bleed damage at the end of her turn. This trickle of blood continues to emerge from her face, and I need another of those flat checks from you, please.
And that's a 20 on the die.
Which is going to stop that bleed damage.
You pull the bramble out.
It is now Trill's turn. Trill looks into the room and sees this cackling, berobed cultist just luxuriating in this pillar of negative energy.
You gotta be kidding me.
He's not, Trill. I think it's serious.
He seems like he's really enjoying it. Yeah, it's like those Herbal Essence commercials from the early 90s.
What?
She's kind of like, she's watching everything going on, and Ray of Frost works so poorly. She's just kind of shaking this new loot, trying to figure out. She goes, this thing is so frustrating. And as she shakes it, she kind of gets out a couple cords, and in getting those few other cords out, she ends up shooting off 3 magic missiles. So Trill ended up doing 11 damage.
Thwip, thwip, thwip. They flail around as hit after hit of these darts slam in quick succession into the ghoul. But the ghoul is still up, continuing to throw back its head and enjoy this light. And it is as the third of those darts hits that it is Vadim's turn.
So with a shuffle, Vadim sort of shakes out his left arm and drops a dagger from where it's been concealed up his sleeve into his hand.
Ooh.
Then he immediately makes a double slice attack. First, fainting high, not mechanically fainting. This is flavor fainting. And
Flavor
then-
feint.
Flavor feint, y'all. And then slashing in and diving in with a dagger strike.
Against which ghoul?
Against the cultist in the plume of flame, necromantic energy. So Vadim rolls a 3 and a 1 on the die for a 14 and 11 on his double slice.
Fumble card because you fumbled hard.
bad.
Very
that
bad.
was very bad. Yeah,
Very bad.
It's true.
That knife strike becomes an awkward attack, making Vadim flat-footed until the end of his next turn. And that is it for Vadim's turn, as the ghoul standing right in front of Vadim starts climbing over this reading table, and settles on top of this reading couch, poised behind Vadim, as Vadim is focused on that ghoul in the robes in that plume of light in the middle of the room. And it looks at Vadim and tries once more to sink its teeth into him.
You gotta draw a
Nice.
No, it's not.
It is nice.
Very bad.
Very bad.
This piercing strike, in addition to doing 12 points of damage to Vadim, is a guarded strike, meaning that this ghoul is able to act defensively. It's up against the wall, standing on top of this resting couch, and it is going to get a +2 bonus to its armor class until the end of its next turn. And it laughs for a brief moment and then swings a claw at Vadim. And this is the one I really want to hit. What is going on?
because you fumbled hard.
Have some of my luck, why don't you?
And this is a whiff, meaning that it's going to hit itself instead of the target. So here we go.
yourself.
This is 2
Why you
points
hit
of
yourself?
slashing damage
hitting
as
yourself?
as it overextends and manages to nick itself in the shoulder with its jagged, disgusting pointed claw. And it is at this moment that Augriel says,
I think I found an opening.
and Augriel runs forward to the middle of the room so that it is so that Augriel is positioned such that it is flanking this robe-wearing ghoul in the middle of the room with Vadim. And then Augriel opens its mouth and plants its jaws into the cultist. That is going to hit with a 25, meaning that this robe wearer is going to take a total of 16 points of damage, which is enough to kill the ghoul.
Yes.
That's our boy Augie Guscully.
At which point, Augriel, with his last action, falls down to the floor and just starts going and just starts munching on this ghoul.
Harvesting.
Who's hungry?
That's classic 3-action turn. Move, attack, munch.
Move, attack, munch. M-A-M. It is now Norman's turn.
So Norman, he's focused on the light and this dead body. So I think he's having trouble refocusing. He tries to distract the ghoul, to create a distraction to the ghoul that's to his south. So he just is like, "Oh, dude, look at that. Your boss is getting eaten." To see if he can distract its attention away from him.
You can hit both of them if you'd like to with this.
Oh, I would. Yeah, I would like that. Both of their bosses are being eaten. So it makes sense. And that's a 24.
So this is a 24 on your deception check versus their perception DC. And that means that they are both distracted as they're both like, "I want his robes."
Covetous beasts. And with that, Norman is going to use TKP to try and fling some books, now that he's hidden up at the ghoul that's closer to him, the one to the south. And that is 21 to hit.
And that 21, even though it has its guard up from that crit card that it rolled, that 21 is going to hit.
And it's flat-footed.
Yes, it is.
So that is a total of 15 points of damage.
This ghoul and the ghoul on the other end of the room both look extremely badly injured. More pages fly up into the air, and it's just like a vortex of paper and gore and this eerie
Rock,
blue
paper,
light.
gore.
Rock, paper, gore.
Rock, paper, scissors, Gore?
There's an
Rock,
episode title right
paper,
there.
scissors, gore. As that book hits the ghoul, The other ghoul runs forward into the light, standing on top of the body of its fallen leader.
Prying at the robes.
Yes, prying at the robes. Thinks about it for a moment, thinks better of it, and decides instead, what if I just bite Vadim? The teeth come out. That is a 17 to hit. Vadim's flat-footed.
Just misses.
Okay, fine. And then a claw swings out at Vadim. This one is an 18 to hit.
Oh, that will just hit.
Oof.
And meaning that Vadim is just a little too focused on the ghoul on the chaise lounge.
You've got to get off the lounge.
Vadim's going to take 5 points of damage and also is going to give me a fortitude save.
A little bit of a fortitude save, you say?
Yeah.
22.
Nuts.
Nah.
Okay, fine.
My ghoul fever remains stable.
That may not have been ghoul fever that I was asking you to save against.
Oh. Go on.
And at the end of its turn, this ghoul is going to heal back 17 points of damage as
I don't care for that.
As this light continues to
I'm going to
wash
hero point
over
card
it.
that.
Do you actually have something? You might. I don't know.
Oh, no, I don't. But
No,
I
you
just
don't.
like
Okay.
the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I have yeah.
I wouldn't put it past our listeners. So it's the top of round 3. This fight that looked like it was just in hand has just taken a terrible turn. There is a ghoul on the edge of the room peering down at Vadim, and it looks like it is barely hanging on to life. But then there is this other ghoul in the center of the room that is energized by this blast of negative energy that the light just hit it with. The rest of you are spread around. I don't like Mag still doesn't have a weapon out. Let's see if that changes on this round when it becomes Mag's turn right now.
Mag casts Lingering Composition. Mag will draw the bastard sword two-handed, will stride to the near edge of the light to within striking distance of the ghoul and leaving another flanking position open for Norman or anyone else. And she will attempt to strike the recently healed ghoul that is standing in the middle of this beam of negative energy. And that's a 22 to hit.
That 22 hits as the blade of the bastard sword plunges into the shoulder of this ghoul.
So, oh man, it's a 1 and 3 on the dice, so that's 11 damage.
So a sizable chunk cut out of the ghoul, but the ghoul is still standing. As Trill sees Mag attack, what will she do?
How are we on Inspire Courage? There's still one more round left.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, this is only 2 rounds of battle.
Vadim, do you need some healing?
I think he's going to be okay.
Okay, so you'd rather I attack than soothe you?
For sure. Yeah. Save
Okay.
that for when the chips are really down. And
Okay, so Trill is instead going to attempt Ray of Frost again for some dumbass reason. 'Cause it's
Think
a
about the
cantrip.
Westport Library. We don't need that attitude
Yeah.
here.
Westport Library, here we go. And okay, this was fine, 21.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
That 21
Yep.
means
Nice.
that this ray of frost plants firmly in the chest of this ghoul in the light.
So Trill, she finally gets that right chord in her new look. She's, yes, okay. And damage on that Ray of Frost is 13.
Oh.
Max
Dang.
damage. 2d4 plus 4 plus 1 from the Inspire Courage. And that is enough. To kill the ghoul in the right. As Trill gets a hero point and has one more action.
Nice.
For her last action, she's going to spit at him.
The dead body?
Do you want to call that an intimidation check against the ghoul in the corner of the room?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, she's gonna spit at it and show that last school how strong we all are. Absolutely.
Cool. So
Let's go ahead
give me
and
that
do
intimidation as you attempt to demoralize the school.
that. Yeah, sure. See how well that works out.
Can Mag use a reaction to aid?
Oh, I'll continue to be on a roll 21.
And the ghoul is shaking. The ghoul's like, no, George.
No, the tiny little gnome with the bright hair. She's scary.
Yeah, which means that this ghoul in the corner of the room is now frightened 1, as it is Vadim's turn.
The team is just going to reach out and do a double slice. Actually, you know what? First, he's going to lay on hands against this guy. So it has to make a DC 17 basic fortitude save or take 2d6 plus 1.
Okay, here comes the fortitude save. That's a 13.
That is a failure. That is 10 damage.
And that 10 damage is so much more than the 1 hit point that it had. As Vadim reaches forward, grabs a hold of this ghoul, and it just starts shaking and shimmering, and light starts bursting out from itself, and then just explodes into a pile of dust and crumbles onto the ground. Yeah.
Whew.
And the 4 of you, with Augriel, who says,
Oh, wow. That was really impressive. When I came here before, I remember we got beat up pretty bad. Maybe that's when I got sick. I don't really remember.
but the 4 of you are here in this newly empty reading room as all of the pages from the books that Norman had thrown at these ghouls gently fall to the ground like autumn leaves. The end.
Norman, finally in a moment of calm, having never taken his eyes off the light, hops down off of the chaise he's been on and just goes right up to the light. He's not quite touching it, but he's like trying to figure it out.
And Mag steps to Norman's side to keep Norman from shoving a head in there.
I'm pretty sure that's necromantic energy, Norman. As a living being, I think it would be very dangerous to you.
But what is it? Where's it coming from? And Norman does a check to see if he can, I know we've looked at it before, but can he learn anything new about it here?
So I don't think you need to make a check to see that the energy is flowing up from the floor. You see the way that the floor and the ceiling above are sort of like rippling like they're tissue, like their skin. And it seems as though there's some sort of deep, sickening infection, maybe metaphorical, maybe real. But the only thing you can really draw from looking at it in this room is that it's coming from below. It seems stronger here than it did up above. Like if you think back to when you saw it on the second level and now you're on the third level, it seems like the strength and the power of this negative energy contained within this light is much, much stronger, much more potent here than it was upstairs.
It's not a light in the darkness. It's a light from the darkness.
Or of darkness in many ways.
I hate it, and I can't tear myself away from it. And he's still just hovering right at the edge. Hey, Augriel, can you do me a favor?
Yes, Stephanopoulos, what can I do for you?
Can you pull those bodies out of the light? I don't like the idea of them staying in there. And I don't think I should touch it. Weird things happen when I touch it.
Oh, sure, I'm happy to touch it. I think it feels amazing.
Oh, I really don't like that.
And Augriel drags those bodies out of the light for you and dusts his hands off like he's done a job well done and beams at you and says,
I hope that was helpful.
You're the most helpful, bud. We really appreciate you. Do you want anything more to eat?
No, I'm fine. I just like knowing that they're here in case I get peckish later. If I do, will you promise to bring me back here and let me wet my whistle one more time?
Oh, I really don't like that. Just like on every level.
On every level.
Hey, you know, you don't need to worry about that disease that you've got. I got it, and I turned out fine.
Did you? Did you, O'Grill?
And Norman elbows Vadim.
No, I'm serious, Norman.
He doesn't know.
And he's absent-mindedly sort of nibbling on the finger of one of these ghouls, and he says,
I feel great.
You know, O'Grill, each of us have our time, on this earth, before our soul returns to the boneyard, and we are transformed and reborn. And death is a perversion of that cycle. That's why it's so anathema to me, is it interrupts the transmigration of souls. It ceases a soul from being reborn into the next cycle of life.
Norman cuts in. Vadim, do not do anything to him. We need him for, well, at least for a little while longer.
I'm not talking about hurting him. He's intelligent. He's not a beast like these things were. But it is still an abomination to Pharasma, Norman.
Well, can't it be a helpful abomination for a little while?
We can pick this up again later, for sure.
Okay. And with that, the proverbial hair on the back of Norman's neck, he's he got caught up in this debate, so he stepped back from the light. He's like, what is even in this room anyways? What are they keeping around this light? And he starts searching around.
I also could use a little patching up.
Oh, right, of course, I got that.
yeah, so let's do healing. Who would like to do healing checks? Who's going to get lay on hands? Let's start with a healing check.
I think Vadim definitely wants to try and treat his own wounds. That is a 16 on the medicine check.
All right, so that's a success. You get 2d8 plus 8 hit points back.
15.
So that's only 7 because the ghoul fever keeps your wounds from closing up. Is anybody else... Oh, sorry, it's a 7, but you can heal for the rest of the hour to raise that up to 14. Chances are you don't want to do that, though, because you have lay on hands.
Yeah, and so he's just going to focus and refocus, I think.
Okay.
Norman's going to treat himself, seeing that Vadim's, he and Vadim are sort of at a distance, and he's going to handle his own sitch. So he gets a 20 on the die for a 25 on his medicine check.
Nice.
Nice.
So you heal 20 back. So Norman is fully healed up. So if Vadim spends the rest of the hour healing, that means that he can get a total of 30 hit points back.
Yeah, so that is what he will do.
Mag needs 1 lay on hands. I'm down 6 points.
Okay.
Yeah, Trill's only down 4 hit points.
So call it an hour 20.
Let's call it an hour and 10.
Great.
So an hour and 10 minutes later, it's about 1:10. What else is happening during that hour?
There's 2 things that Trill wants to do. One is just to retune, keep working on her loot. She's still trying to figure out what's going on with it. And so while she's doing that, regaining of that focus point she spent. But she's also curious about the books that are spread around this room.
Mag 2. In particular, the titles that were given to us up on floor 2 with regard to Volok Azenray, whether
What
any
the
of
worm
those
knows?
3. It's hang on, I'm checking my notes
Secrets
for
of the Skull.
Somehow I've memorized these. It's
An elephant abomination.
yes.
6 ways to use cheddar in really interesting recipes.
And one really boring way.
It's what the worm knows, grave feasts, and secrets of the skull. So in addition to looking for anything that might on its own be interesting, particular interest in seeing whether any of those titles are around.
This is all light reading. It's like fashion illustrations. It's just light, casual stories about sporting events.
Sorry, these weird, diseased, undead, like flesh cultist ghoul things have been sitting down here reading like Vogue.
I'm going to need you to explain the fashion a little bit more there, Larsio.
Well, everything down here is at least 500 years old. So,
Incidentally, speaking of fashion cults, anyone want to join one?
Huh. I didn't see the fashion angle coming from you.
hours.
yeah, so this seems like it's just sort of mindless reading material from centuries and centuries and centuries ago, just where these ghouls would lie down, relax, and entertain themselves with some frivolity.
So this is like a space of rejuvenation, right? There's like if you're a a sort of bad, evil, undead, negative type of critter,
Which
This
I
is-
am.
which
Yeah.
doubtless
Lars.
Yep.
this is like a spa. It's got this like
I was just
this
thinking
like
that.
rejuvenating source of energy in the middle of it, and you come and you lay
There's
down
the
on these
waiting
nice
room.
things, and you read something relaxing, and you step in and out of the healing light, and then by the end of it, it's like going in and getting a massage.
Right, you have
and
some corpse water.
right, some hot body parts you put on your spine. You put little slices
Boy, are
of
they hot and spicy.
slices of rotten cucumber on your eyes to really unjuvenate your skin.
Get that really great gray pallor.
Yeah, exactly. If you enter this room with a clear skin, you're sure to leave it with festering boils.
Absolutely.
Or your money back.
Well, while everyone else is looking at the books, Norman is looking around to see if there's like any other items or like anything else of interest in that. Like he just doesn't understand. I think he hasn't quite gotten the like spa-like quality of the light in this resting room. Like he's just like trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, so I don't know if I can tell you anything that's going to help Norman make sense of it. But everything that you investigate in this room, it just seems like this is a place, this is like a break room. This is like a relaxation chamber. It's gross, it's weird, but it seems as though these ghouls are voracious readers. And it also seems as though they got some enjoyment out of lounging here, eating snacks, and reading. Light
Break
fare.
room. I love the idea it's a break room now.
No treasures, secret doors, none of that kind of fun stuff.
Mag, I guess, is joining in on the search with Norman.
Yeah.
And Mag, as she's investigating behind the couch on the western side of the room,
Hey.
does feel a little bit of a hitch in the wall.
Oh. Like a fun secret door hitch or like a menacing trap hitch? What are we?
Yeah, you die
It's an
in real
instant
life.
death hitch.
Oh no. Okay, so
Mag, what's over there?
Mag would like to try and manipulate it for open it,
Sure.
see what's going on.
So it's like it's like there's a bookshelf that has this slight gap between the bookshelf and the wall, and Mag is able to
There's
reach
nothing
her
there,
fingers.
Mag. I already looked. There's nothing there.
Well, I don't know. There's. Do you see where this?
No.
I
Yeah. It's just a bookcase.
well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it feels almost like there's a breeze coming from behind it. That wouldn't be true of a regular bookcase.
Suit yourself.
Okay, so well, we'll see. Listen, I'm very happy to admit I'm wrong about this kind of thing. So if it turns out there's nothing.
Yeah,
here-
same. Totally same. Definitely same.
Norman's really great at being wrong.
So yeah, Mag will try and maybe with the point of a javelin, she tries to sort of lever this thing open and see if there's if it gives.
And this bookshelf swings forward off of the wall, revealing a short passageway about 5 feet long, leading into a circular chamber decorated with intricate, intertwining silver runes carved into the floor and the wall, just like the one you found upstairs. And we will pick up from there next time.
Not an incineration room. Don't go in there.
The Roots of Ruin is a Tabletop Gold production, produced under the Paizo Incorporated Community Use Policy. The Roots of Ruin uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Inc., used under Paizo's Community Use Policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. Paizo does not recognize, endorse, or sponsor this project in any way. Original characters and content are the property of Tabletop Gold. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, visit paizo.com. We at Tabletop Gold would love to hear from you. Email us at letters@tabletopgold.com and find all our social links at tabletopgold.com.